Now, welcome back. A special treat for you cricket fans. We are joined in the studio by former Ashes winner and former England fast bowler Stephen Finn. Stephen, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming in to speak to us. Here to talk about the Ashes, here, of course, to talk about your new book as well. Congratulations on that. Stephen Finn, The Ashes Files. Look at the reviews. Finney on the front, powerful. Stuart Broad, raw and moving. Alistair Cook. And interestingly there, like my pride and pain. Apart from the obvious, what can readers expect from this one?
Yeah, I think it's not a conventional autobiography in the sense that it doesn't just go through and list the good things that you've done and reminisce on the good times. I kind of try to reflect on the ups and downs, and it's more of a story and a flow of my career as opposed to just remembering the highlights. So yeah, it's winning the 10-11 Ashes, and it focuses heavily on the Ashes and the fact that I kept diaries at the time to kind of help me remember and to use extracts within the book. But winning the 10-11 Ashes, being sent home from the 2013-14 Ashes, and then coming back and winning again in 2015 is kind of the story of the book.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, your relationship with that famous series, because you had such mixed emotions with it, didn't you?
Yeah, and I think that's something that when you sit back now and you remember, you can remember the good times, but when you're in amongst it, certainly the tough times hit you quite hard. So yeah, to have had both a positive and negative relationship with the Ashes is kind of the motivation behind writing the book.
You were, of course, and many watching will know this, but for those who don't, part of the last England squad to win an Ashes series down under.
Makes me feel old.
You don't look old, mate. You're 36 these days.
36, yeah.
You're looking good. You don't look a day older than this, Stephen. Do England have a good chance of bringing that urn back?
I think they've got their best chance in 15 years, yeah. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think that England have a relatively settled line-up, and the way that it's been selected over the last few years, I think, lends itself to consistency, which you need when going into an Ashes series, which we had in 2010-11. And I think there's just a little degree of turbulence down in Australia as well, in terms of them having a more unsettled lineup than they have done for the last 15 years, especially when it comes to their home Ashes series. So, yeah, there's definitely positive signs for England fans.
With your fast bowling hat on, what do you make of the selection that England have got in that area? And who would you go for, putting you on the spot in Perth?
I think it's clearly very difficult now, still a few weeks away from that first test. But I think the fitness of Mark Wood will be something that they'll look at. I think, presuming that he's not 100% fit for that first test match, you'd probably have Archer, Carson, Atkinson as your three bankers. And then you have to determine whether Ben Stokes is fit to play a full part with the ball and what the pitch is doing. So I think that fourth bowling slot will probably be decided between Josh Tongue and Shoaib Bashir as to whether they think they need a spinner or whether they want to go with the full fast bowling battery, because I think by all accounts, that pitch in Perth at the Optus Stadium is a fast, bouncy one that's going to produce a result.
The batting lineup, of course, a bit more settled, isn't it? But I guess one of the big questions, do you go with Ollie Pope or do you go with Jacob Bethell?
Yeah, I think, again, that I would be surprised if it wasn't Ollie Pope lining up in that first Test match, but clearly with him being removed from the vice-captaincy and Harry Brook being given the vice-captaincy, it maybe makes his spot slightly more vulnerable than it was during the summer. But I certainly think that the fact that he scored a good 100 against India early in that series, and the fact he has been the number 3 for a long time, barring when he was asked to fill in as wicketkeeper and bat down the order, I'd be surprised if it's not Pope, but we know they like to throw curveballs, this England team, very occasionally. Yeah,
and Australia without their captain for the first test at least in Pat Cummins, how big a blow for them is that?
Yeah, I think clearly it's a blow for the series as well, because even though we want England to go down there and win it, you want the best players to be playing, and I love watching him bowl. So it's a real shame that he's not going to be fit for, at the very least, that first test match. But when you've got stress responses and what they're not being very specific about what exactly it is, and there's no need for them to be. But when you've got stress responses or stress fractures in your lower back, it's a bit of a concern, and yeah, that might drag on and that story might evolve throughout the series. So it's a good thing for England because he's an amazing bowler, but for the series, I still would like to see him play.
But be honest, an England player, would you be thinking that, come on, that's a big boost for us? I mean, I know we want to see, don't we? Well, not neutrals, obviously, but, you know, the cricket fans want to see Cummins. But England players not having to face him?
I think there's probably a few batters that'd be happy he's not lining up, because he's got this amazing record. And also the way that he captains as well. Steve Smith clearly is a very able replacement to him. But yeah, I really think that him as a captain
he'd be interesting there, Granit Xhaka, if we had him in the Ashes series. That would.
Well, yeah, certainly he'd bring some tenacity to it, wouldn't he? I think.
Look, Australia's openers, in terms of, you know, opening the batting, a bit of uncertainty there. What do you think they will go with?
Well, that's that turbulence. I think that when you're looking at it, and we think about going down there in the past, you almost know exactly who you're going to face as a top 7 in that first Test match. But I think they've got challenges in the sense of how do they fit their 2 all-rounders, Bo Webster and Cam Green, into that lineup, because clearly there is a want to do that. Marnus Labuschagne started churning runs in domestic cricket, so does that guarantee him selection in there? But certainly understanding who that top 3 is going to be in the makeup of that is one of Australia's big question marks going into this series.
Your old mucker, Stuart Broad, says that this is the worst Australian team since 2010. Agree?
Well, I think, look, Broady is very good at stoking the fire when it comes to the Ashes, and that's why he was such an amazing player in it. I certainly think the amount of turbulence that there is in and around the Australian team at the moment is the most in 15 years. They're still an excellent team at home. England haven't won a Test match in Australia since we won in 2010-11. So I think that puts into context the challenge of this series for this team going down there, but certainly I think this is their best chance in 15 years to win it.
Do you think it is a defining series? Is that going too far, over-egging the pudding for Bazball and for this Ben Stokes unit?
No, I think they've been building to this, and I think that there's been a slight shift in the mindset with which they play in the last 12 months or so, in the sense of they've gone from being entertainers who want to play carefree cricket to, in the last 12 months or so, just tempering that down a touch in order to play the game situation a bit better. And both Stokes and McCullum have reflected on that in interviews that they've done. So, look, I think that they know that this is a huge series, and that this is, for England fans, it's the ultimate, and it cements your place in English cricket history. Without winning the 10-11 Ashes, I probably wouldn't have been able to write this book about the Ashes files. So there are certainly things that down the line that, when you reflect on huge series like this, they're defining moments in your career, but also your life.
Absolutely, yeah. Career defining, especially when you do it on Australian soil. That's hence the book and hence everything that can come for these players. And they know that is a big opportunity for them. Come on, I know you don't want to predict a starting 11, but can you predict a series outcome for us? What are we thinking, Stephen? Yeah.
I genuinely think England can win it. I think there'll be a result in every Test match, barring weather. I think it's due to be a bit of a wet summer down in Australia, but I think that will lend itself to result-orientated pitches. I'm going to err on the positive side of life for a change and say a 3-2 win to England.
Stephen, thank you so much for coming in. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.